Hello! As you can tell by the title, I'll be doing something a little different in today's video because it's my sister's birthday. So as a tribute to her, I'm going to be recreating homes from one of her earliest works, my book of houses, in The Sims. This book was written in 1995, and not to toot my own horn, but it is dedicated to me. There are 17 houses in this book, but I'm only going to be building 9, so I'm not giving away the full plot. This will be a challenge because, unlike me, my sister did not exit the Sims highway at Generation 3 to live out the rest of her days in Twinbrook. She is a modern woman with modern Sims, so I will be making these homes in The Sims 4, so that they might actually be useful for her. Alright, let's get into it. So luckily I have a fairly simple assignment for the first house, which will be a log cabin. It looks like a pretty basic structure with what might be a bay window on the left, and of course plenty of evergreen trees around the outside. I did struggle quite a bit with figuring out how walls work in The Sims 4, and I do have 8 other houses to get to, so I'm going to skip through most of the build footage. Basically what was tripping me up was that the game has to recognize an enclosed space as an official room in order for the ceiling and roof to work properly, and I just kept messing that up on this first build because I'm drawing as I go. But I do get a lot better after this house. And you can kind of tell from all the tinkering here, I'm also discovering a bunch of decorative objects for the first time. Or at least the first time in quite a while. I have played The Sims 4 a little bit in the past. So I get faster at choosing things with the later builds. Though I still do battle with the swatches every time, trying to manifest colors that are simply not there. But anyway, like any simmer, I'm sure my sister has her real family or some proxy for her actual household in the game, so I'm building these houses with her family in mind. She has 3 kids and about 50 cats and a dog, so all of the homes I'm going to build will have pet supplies and enough beds for all of the children. So as you can see with the layout here, the common spaces are in the front of the house and then the bedrooms are in the back. There's a separate room for the youngest, but the oldest 2 would have to share with this house. And here's our log cabin. Okay, so next up we have a residential area house, so like a suburban home. The color scheme is blue and white. We can tell by the 2 levels of windows that this is a 2-story home, and it's got a classic white picket fence and some flowers in the front yard. I built a basic square shell for this home with a little sunroom off the back. There are 2 little decks on the top level to match the symmetry of our reference illustration, and I'm going for a very quaint vibe with the cutesy beams and fence, the scalloped roof pattern, and some shuttered windows. On the interior, I'm keeping things pretty traditional for the most part. I've got black and white tile in the kitchen and sunroom. There's a formal dining room off of the kitchen with hardwood floors and paneled walls, and then a living room to the left side of the entry. As you can see, I've kind of figured out some build mode stuff since the log cabin. This one's looking more like a real house. Like I said, it's not like I've never played this generation before, and I didn't buy 4 just for this video. For me, Sims games are like new vegan cheese products. I'm going to try them even if they look questionable. I just go through a cycle with Sims 4 where every couple years I'll see a YouTuber review a new pack and think, oh, this is what my life is missing, and I'll get it and play it for a couple hours just that day. And then suddenly it's 2 years later and the same thing happens again. So I'm just a little cog in the EA cash grab machine. But anyway, with this house, we have 1 kid's bedroom on the first level with their own bathroom, and then on the second floor are the rest of the bedrooms. There's a nice little garden with a swing set in the backyard, and a deck with a grill and a table and chairs, so pretty much just a quintessential American suburban home. Alright, here is our residential area house. Okay, so for our next house, we have a little bit more of a challenge with a city apartment house. Based on the windows, it looks to be 4 stories high, but I'm going to keep it to 3 for simplicity. And I'm not even sure if 4 is allowed, but anyway. Clearly this is a very brown building, so I'll be going with a brownstone kind of look for the exterior. I'm also going to raise this building up a bit. One thing I really do appreciate about The Sims 4 is that you don't need to plan ahead for foundations that can be added after the walls are set. I also played around with columns and friezes on the exterior for this one, which I think adds a nice realistic touch. The plan for this building is to have 4 total units. From what I could gather, and I could be wrong on this, so please correct me in the comments as needed, but in The Sims 4 you can't build a true apartment building like in 3 where only your unit is shown in gameplay, but you can use the roommate system and lock doors to simulate an apartment kind of setup. So I guess that's what you would do with this building. And on the interior, I'm only going to be fully furnishing 1 unit, this unit here. And with the other 3, I just placed the plumbing fixtures, appliances, counters, cabinets, and lighting. So those units just look vacant. This apartment here is a 3-bed, 2-bath that goes from the first floor to the second floor. And it has a little backyard and a balcony. On the other side of the building, there are 2-bed, 2-bath units on both the first floor and the second floor. And then the penthouse on the 3rd floor is pretty luxurious. It has 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and 2 balconies. So that's where you'd put your Blair Waldorf Sims. So with that, here is our city apartment house. Next up, we have a mercifully simple build with a shack. This appears to be a 1-room structure with vertical wood siding and no plant life to be seen on the outside, which is why I've placed this one in Oasis Springs. I have no idea what pack this neighborhood is associated with, but this lot was sufficiently barren for my purposes here, and I like the dinosaur in the background. This house would be a fun one to play with if you want to challenge yourself a little. It's just going to be 1 room. I'm not putting a bathroom on the interior. I'll just do a detached outhouse in the back, but it will still have enough bed space and everything for 5 Sims, 2 adult Sims, 2 children or teens, and a toddler. I put all of the homes I built for this video on the Sims 4 gallery, so you should be able to download them and use them if you want. I'm not super familiar with the search options on there, but I think if you search by my EA account ID, Fast and Bulbasaur, you can find them. I know it's a weird name, I'll type it in the description. It's a mashup of a Captain Beefheart song and obviously a Pokemon. I probably would have picked something less niche if I knew I was going to make these little videos, but anyway. On the interior, I spent a lot of time rearranging the furniture to give the illusion of separate room areas since there isn't much space or any walls. And here's the layout I ended up with. The kitchen's in front, the beds are on the side and the back, with the parents' bed separated by a curtain and a shade. And with that, let's take a look at our shack. Moving right along, we have probably our most ambitious project, a castle. So for this one, we have a stone exterior, an arched wooden door, and 3 turrets with red conical roofs. This circular structure at the base might be some kind of moat, so I'm including a little section of water with a bridge at the front of the lot. I also want a courtyard at the center of the castle, so the actual interior part of the building will be a little narrow because it's basically a rectangular frame around the courtyard. Obviously, this lot is placed in the cottage living neighborhood, Pinford-on-Badgley, or whatever it's called, and I'm using a lot of items from that pack. That was definitely one of the ones that got me to want to try The Sims 4 again. I'm sure it didn't take EA too much market research to know that concept would sell well in the 2020s, but I have yet to spend any time with it outside of building some homes for this video, so I'm hoping to actually use these homes myself at some point. But anyway, this lot is not so much a traditional castle in the sense that it does not have any servants' quarters, and I didn't include a cellar, which I might actually add in my game now that I think about it, but it's more of just a very luxurious single-family home in the shape of a castle. Though I did exclude any really modern-looking technology, so there's no like televisions or computers. For the layout, on the first level we have all of the communal spaces. There's a little study, a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, a bathroom, and of course the courtyard in the center. On the second level, each little corner turret has its own bedroom, so there's 4 bedrooms total. And the little top level in the center turret is just a lookout with a telescope and some large windows. Outside the castle, there's a livestock and crops section on one side, and over on the other side, there's a topiary garden. And again in the front, there's the little water area with the bridge. Alright, here is the castle. Okay, next up we're out in the Brindleton Bay neighborhood with our next home, a Seaside House. So for this one again, based on the windows, it looks like a 2-story house. It's a brown color, which I usually wouldn't associate with coastal homes unless it's from a wood shingle, so I'm going to do dark brown wood shingles on the exterior. The lot this house is placed on has this really nice view of a harbor at the back, so I wanted to have a partial wraparound porch and some decks off the back side of the house to take advantage of the view. And then in the front, I wanted a little rounded section here, which was a pain to figure out roofing for. I think I actually spent more time on this house than on the castle, partially due to my roofing struggles. But so far this one has the most downloads on the gallery, so I guess that paid off. Though I think it's just because this house has white trim, which makes it pop more in the little thumbnail photo. I don't know. Scrolling through the popular lots on the gallery, it seemed like most of them just have light trim, a bunch of roofing ornamentation, and lots of plants. So that seems like the way to hack it if you want downloads. Anyway, on the interior, as you can see, I'm sticking with very bland colors, or I guess a nicer way to put it would be a calming color palette, but it's all white, beige, pale blue, and gray, just what I imagine bougie coastal homes look like on the inside. This home is pretty massive. On the first floor, there's a big entryway, an open living/dining room, a corner office, a more modest-sized kitchen, and a guest bathroom. On the second floor, we have a little hangout spot at the top of the stairs, and 4 bedrooms. 2 of the bedrooms have ensuite bathrooms, and then there's one shared bathroom at the front of the house. There's also a deck that can be accessed through the hangout area or through the primary bedroom. Okay, so here is a Seaside House. Okay, so once again, we're back to a little more simple build for our next house, a jungle hut. There appears to be a lot of tropical foliage surrounding this home, and it looks like a 1-room structure with a thatched roof. Now, full disclosure, I did actually buy one pack for this video, and that was Island Living. I know I'm a chump, but this build really would not be the same without this pack, and again, I was influenced by YouTubers. Clearly I'm very suggestible, but I've heard so many Sims YouTubers sing the praises of the neighborhood that comes with this pack, Sulani, and what really convinced me to get it was this video series, The Sims 4 Black British Decades Challenge by BSFL Games. Her Decades series focuses on her own ancestry, starting from the Caribbean and moving to the UK. So she starts her Sims off in Sulani, and yeah, I'm not going to give anything away about it. I just enjoyed it, and she made Sulani look really good, like worth the $20 for something I know deep down I probably won't actually use that much. But anyway, as you can see in the interior here, this house is laid out in a similar fashion to the shack, and will also have an outhouse rather than an inside bathroom. But it is lifted and it has a covered deck in the front, so I figured there was no need for a table and chairs inside since it could be on the deck. And there's also plenty of shade from the trees on this lot, so it's a much more hospitable landscape, and the outside space can be utilized a bit more. Alright, here is our jungle hut. Okay, so our next house is going to be a bit more of a historical residential institution, at least for the US. I'm setting this one in the early 1900s because it's an orphanage. So, rather dark building, appears to be 2 or 3 stories. I'm going to go with 2 plus an attic. It does not surprise me that this home made the cut for this book. If you're familiar with the media that was approved by Christian parents of young girls growing up in the 1990s, then you know there's a lot of dead parents, a lot of adversity for orphan girls, and everything is set before 1950, hence orphanages everywhere. Obviously, I'm aware that even though our child welfare system in the US is far from perfect, the type of institutions in those novels is no longer a placement setting authorized for children. That being said, in my reimagining here, I'm going for a much nicer home than was prevalent in the books that we read. I actually had more of the School for Girls from A Little Princess, the 1995 movie version, in mind, which would have been a private institution funded by tuition paid by wealthy parents, but wouldn't it be nice if that kind of comfortable and enriching environment was available to any child in need of shelter and education? So that's my vision with this house. It's like if Miss Minchin's was run by the nice Minchin sister instead of the mean one. It's nice and bright on the inside. There will be plenty of common areas in this home and a lot to do: instruments, easels, books, activity tables, etc. And the bedrooms and bathrooms will be pretty nice. I also put a ton of fireplaces in this house and 4 chimneys on the top since it's supposed to be set before central heating would have been common. So here's our layout. On the left side, we've got a parlor with a piano that connects through to a dining room and then the kitchen in the back. Over on the other side, there's a little art room, a bathroom, like library or schoolroom, and a smaller sitting room in the front. In the backyard, there's a greenhouse or shed kind of structure with woodworking and flower arranging stations. I honestly don't know if teens or kids can use those, but they're there. And then there's a little garden space and a playground area. The bedrooms are all on the second floor. The adult bedrooms are in the back. Those are accessible through a separate staircase off of the kitchen. And then at the top of the main staircase, there are 4 bedrooms, 2 individual rooms at the front, maybe for teens, a shared child's bedroom with 2 beds, and a nursery. There are also 4 total bathrooms on this level, 2 for the kids, 2 for the adults. At the top, there's just a little attic. It's mostly decorative junk. I just thought it was a nice detail. Alright, here is an orphanage. For our last house, we have my favorite illustration from the book, a country cottage. This home is 2 stories at its highest point. It's got a red roof and door, round windows, a picket fence, flowers, a cobblestone path, and what appears to be a pond in the front yard. So I started by placing the pond on the outside. Obviously this one is also in the cottage living neighborhood. This is more the house I was talking about when I said I wanted to play with that pack. The castle I placed here is a little too extravagant for me. I think I would get overwhelmed with that lot. This house, on the other hand, is fairly compact. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, so one of the kids' bedrooms would be shared. In keeping with the spirit of this pack, most of the space on this lot is outdoor space. Before I close out the video, I wanted to mention again that all of these houses are on the Sims 4 gallery if you would like to download them. My EA account ID is in the description. And of course, I just want to say happy birthday, Megan. Sorry this is a day late. Hope you had a great day and everyone was nice and you ate good food and had a night of uninterrupted sleep. I know you're probably busy, but if you do get a chance to play The Sims, I hope one of these houses can be useful for you. And with that, let's take a look at the layout for this house. On the first floor, we have the dining room in the entry area with a little cat tower in that corner below one of the round windows. The kitchen is pretty small and it has an exit out to the patio. Then we have a bathroom and a living room with a little nook by the fireplace. Outside, there's a patio with another table and chairs, a grill, and a woodworking station. And then the youngest kid's bedroom is on the first floor at the base of the stairs. Up on the second floor, there's a landing area with a computer desk and a chess table. The primary bedroom is in the front next to the large shared bathroom, and the kid's bedroom is in the back. Outside, there's a little barn and an area for crops and beekeeping. There's a swing set at the back and a chicken coop on the other side. Alright, here's our final house, a country cottage.